Welcome to the Daily Insider here on Vegas Insider. I am Kevin Rogers. Today is Friday, April 8th, 2022, second day of the Masters, also second day of the Major League Baseball season. So we had some interesting things happen yesterday, some underdogs coming through, which was good, but a very long season and a lot of games to go over for today, as well as some afternoon games. Red Sox, Yankees in New York, White Sox, they start up in Detroit against the Tigers. So we'll go over all of that. And let's get the party started, shall we? Tommy Freeze Pops is here. It's a Friday, so he shall be here. And also to talk baseball today, Chris Rongey, who is live in St. Louis, Missouri. We will call him the roving baseball man because he does stuff for 670 The Score in Chicago, the White Sox flagship, also for the Cardinals, KMOX in St. Louis, legendary station. So a lot to go over with Chris. Chris, we are happy to have you here. And let's begin with the White Sox, just because they face the Tigers today. Before we get to the matchup today, the expectations are obviously high again on the White Sox after winning the division last year. A lot of question marks inside the division. But where are you ranking the White Sox right now in the American League? Because a lot of people are high on Toronto. Also, the Astros are still hanging around. But where do you put Chicago right now in the pecking order in the American League?
I kind of think they're right where everybody else thinks they are, which is probably about third in the division, or excuse me, in the American League. I would like to tell you that they're better than that. They are a very good team. They are exciting. They are still young, with the exception of guys like Jose Abreu, and I think they only have a couple of guys in the batting order that are, in the mid-30s. So they're looking pretty good in terms of their age. And they're going to continue to be an exciting offensive team and explosive. The problem is they're starting pitching, and they've already got injuries to deal with. They were already probably thin when it comes to pitching. Now, they have good talent there. Lucas Giolito, really good. Dylan Cease, good. Michael Kopech is pretty good, but Michael Kopech has never started. Well, at least he hasn't done it at the big league level. He doesn't have a lot of innings right now. And now they're going to count on him to be like their third or fourth starter in the rotation. Then you have Dallas Keuchel, who knows what you're going to get out of him. He was not good last year and fell apart, especially toward the end of the season. So while they have good talent in the rotation, some of it is coming from a place of, and I don't want to say inexperience, but Kopech especially not having a ton of starting experience, especially at the big league level, I think could be a problem for them. Toronto looks great. I know they lost a couple of guys. They lose Robbie Ray. You lose Marcus Semien, but for me right now, that is probably my pick to win the American League. To win that pennant to go to the World Series. I don't know if they're going to win the World Series, but I think they're going to make a strong push for it. I would like to tell you it's going to be the White Sox because of my relationship with them in the past. I root for them still, but I have to be honest. I think they're a little thin right now, relatively speaking, to the other teams we're talking about.
So 91.5 wins feels rich for your blood? Take the over?
I think they can do that in that division. What I'm talking about is once they get past the division, they're going to the playoffs. I would be stunned if this team doesn't make it to the postseason. I would be pretty surprised if they don't make it as a division winner. So I'm still picking them to do that. I think the Twins are going to be a little bit tougher. I don't think that you should totally count out Cleveland. I know a lot of people are looking at Detroit and saying, hey, they're getting better and they're going to be surprisingly good. They might be, but they're the most they will do is cause problems for other teams in the division, but they're not going to win it. All right. So what you're really looking at is the White Sox winning the division, maybe the Twins following with Cleveland right there. I think those are the three teams to worry about, but the Sox will win that thing. It's just a matter of what they do when they get to the playoffs. I don't think they're as good as Toronto, and I don't think they're as good as Houston.
Now, taking a look at today's matchup, White Sox start off, Chris, in Detroit against the Tigers, like you mentioned. Detroit feels like kind of the sexy pick as far as a wild card team. They get Javi Baez in the offseason. I still don't trust the pitching staff of the Tigers. I know they have A.J. Hinch as the manager now, second year. He did a lot in Houston, but also it's helpful when you have that offensive talent in Houston. I don't know if he has that necessarily in Detroit, but Giolito goes today. Eduardo Rodriguez makes his Tigers debut after all those years in Boston. What are your thoughts, at least in this opener here with the White Sox as a favorite?
Well, okay, I think you do the same thing you did last year. And if you were hammering the White Sox against a lefty, do it again this year. So Eduardo Rodriguez, who happens to be the Tigers' oldest starter, and he's 29. So you're talking about a really young pitching staff, but he's a lefty. I do like the White Sox against lefties still. I know it's a new season. Last season, they killed them, but until they prove otherwise, I'm going to continue to go that direction. Every time they face a lefty, I'm going to hammer the White Sox all year until we get to like June or July and the evidence proves otherwise. I just don't see a reason to go against them. But, you mentioned that Tigers pitching staff. It's really young. And Rodriguez at 29 years old, he is the oldest guy on the staff. So you're talking about relative inexperience. Casey Mize is probably going to be really good as his career goes on, but he's not 25 yet, getting there. It's just it's a team right now that for a long season in 2022, I don't believe much in. I think they've got a nice future ahead of them, which is why when we talk about the White Sox, I kind of wish they had taken advantage better of the position they're in terms of the offseason and trying to get just a little bit better. They didn't do that all that much. I mean, I guess they got a second baseman finally, but they could have done better because I think that Tigers window is going to open soon. And we've seen what Detroit has been willing to do in the past. It's Mike Ilitch doesn't own the team anymore, and he was willing to throw money at the roster whenever he felt like it because he wanted to see a winner. It's not the same anymore, but they have proven they are willing to spend in the past. So I do think the Tigers' time is coming. I just don't think it's now.
So let's stay in the same city as the White Sox here and go to the other team that I think has been actively trying to get worse over the last few years in the Chicago Cubs. They got the win yesterday, but taking a look at the NL Central in general, I know people in my former city, your current city, that are all excited about Pujols coming home to St. Louis. And, you've got the Brewers who have been good in that division for a few years now. Cubs are on the downward trend. Reds are up and down every year. We never know what direction they're going to be in. So what's your read on the NL Central? And can you tell everyone to chill out about Albert Pujols, please?
All right.
Please.
Hey, look, it's
he's like 50 years old.
No, I think the novelty of it right now is very cool. It's cool to have him back. It's cool to see him in the same dugout with Molina and with Wainwright and have them on the same team. There's a lot of nostalgia there. And I think that's where people are. But I do think you're right that because the season is, and I know this is such a baseball cliche, but the season it's a long season, but it is because you play every day, right? So by the time we get 2 months from now, there are going to be 60 games played. And this will feel like an eternity ago. I think that all of the good feelings about him being in St. Louis now will probably dissipate a little bit. I don't expect a lot from him. I expect the team to be pretty good, though. I think they'll be good in, despite whatever production he gives them. I just don't think they're as good as Milwaukee. And you do see a lot of people picking the Brewers to win the division. And I think that's right. They are a better team. Maybe the most important player in the National League this year is going to be Christian Yelich. Because if he is anything like what he was 2 seasons ago, a couple of years ago, and I'm talking about pre-COVID, I don't really count 2020, but if we're talking like 2019, if he is anything close to that, that changes that lineup dramatically. And they become a much, much better team and a much more dangerous team. And then they've got 3 top-of-the-line starters. That's a tough team, man. That really is. And the Cardinals are already dealing with an injury to arguably their best pitcher in Jack Flaherty. And who knows how long that's going to linger. So, and you've got Adam Wainwright, who's, he's Wainwright, and he kind of did, yesterday he did what he typically does, but it was against the Pirates, a team that's not very good. He'll be steady all year. But the problem is they don't have a strong rotation now. I expect them to get to the playoffs. I don't think they win the division. I think all the people picking Milwaukee are right. And I do feel like there are maybe some St. Louis supporters who are trying to poke holes in the Milwaukee lineup and poke holes in the Milwaukee rotation. I mean, that what you're doing to them is what you could do to pretty much any other team in the National League. So I don't put much stock in that. I think the Brewers win this division. I think they're good. I think the Cardinals make the playoffs, though.
I understand, Chris, that a lot of people are down on the Cubs because of the moves they made, Rizzo, Baez, Bryant, all getting traded at the deadline last year. And yesterday, yes, it's one game. But good performance against the Brewers, and those younger guys got a lot of opportunities towards the end of last year when the Cubs were pretty much shot. Are the Cubs as bad as people are saying, or if you give them a little bit of time? Look, they're not the Brewers, not the Cardinals, but can they be halfway competitive this year?
Yeah. A lot of people, I feel, think the Cubs are going to win like 60 games this year. They're not going to be that bad. They won't be good. I think they could approach maybe 500. I think they could be a mid-70s win team. But they've gone young, and they have a lot of really exciting young players as well, especially the Seiya Suzuki pickup they made, what was about 3 weeks ago, I guess they got him. They're a team that tears down, but when they do, they try to build back up pretty quickly. So I think the Cubs it's going to be a matter of time before they're truly competitive again. Now, they can surprise people this year like they did last year. And if you remember, for about the first 2.5 months of the season or so, they were pretty good. And both the Cubs and the White Sox in town were in first place in their divisions for a while. I don't remember exactly how long, but they were both pretty good for a bit. And then, the trade deadline happens and the Cubs or prior to the trade deadline, the Cubs kind of fall apart. I think it was right after the All-Star break, if I remember right. And I think there's good in them. I think they can be dangerous. They're not going to win the division, but like the Tigers, I do think it's a matter of time before the Cubs start to be really competitive again. They've shown that they are willing to, spend money when it's time. And I think they're going to do that again.
So I'm looking at my Red Sox here, 85.5 wins. Everyone's pretty high on them coming into this season. I know people love the Blue Jays, but the Red Sox have a lot of hype coming into the year. But your guy, man, Chris Sale, I mean, dude, 60-day DL. Yeah. Ever since he signed that deal, and really before that too, like he breaks down at the end of every season. Like this is what he does. And then the Red Sox go out and give him that monster contract. They're still on the hook. I'm looking at his numbers here. 3 more years at almost $30 million a year for a guy that is bound to spend 60 days on the injured list every year at a certain point, right? Whether it's at the beginning or the end of a season. So, like, can we get rid of this guy? Like, is this the worst contract ever? I mean, come on,
Chris Davis is the worst contract ever with the Orioles.
No, it's not the worst contract ever, obviously. The Red Sox have like 5, I could tell you, that are worse than Chris Sale's. I'm just reacting to what's making me angry in the moment. I mean, I love when Chris Sale is healthy, he is incredibly fun
he's awesome
to watch.
Yeah, he is.
He's a maniac, and he's incredibly good. But the guy cannot stay healthy, Raj.
Well, you also better make sure that whatever jersey choices they put out for the day, that he likes them.
Were you still with the broadcasts when that was going on?
No, I think I was right after. It was my first year gone when all of that happened. But he's a maniac. So this is a sidebar. Like this, I just got to tell this story. So a good friend of mine is one of the clubhouse managers for the Sox, and Sale signed. For people who don't know what happened, the White Sox did a throwback uniform day, and they had this hideous uniform with these huge collars. It was white with navy blue collars. Yeah,
it was like a 1919 version
70s.
Of the White Sox.
It was so bad. Okay. Yeah. And I think one day, they did for sure one game wear shorts with them. Like they didn't have baseball pants, they wore shorts. But the other times they had pants. Anyway, so they do these throwback uniforms and they wear them. And from what I'm told, it started as a joke. but he took a knife to him. He started destroying the jerseys before the game in the clubhouse because he didn't want to wear them, and everybody was making fun of how bad they were. So my friend, who's the clubhouse guy, Chris, took one of those jerseys. It's not a slashed up one, but it's just one of those jerseys, and he signed it for him, and it says blank these jerseys. And Chris Sale, like he's a wild man. And the White Sox got 5 really good years of production out of him, and he averaged 200 innings every year. So I'm not totally surprised he started to break down, because I think the miles finally got to him. It's such an odd delivery. He's got such a wiry frame that he always seemed like somebody who was on the verge of breaking down. In fact, when he first got called up, and he was there for the first couple of seasons, he was having some elbow inflammation, and the team got scared. And they said, okay, we're taking you out of the rotation, and we're putting you in the bullpen. And he freaked out on them. And he said, no, you're not putting me in the bullpen. I'm a starter. And so they backed off of that because they were worried about him totally breaking down and injuring himself. So I did always feel like this is kind of a matter of time that he gets to this point and he starts to have some real arm trouble, shoulder trouble, elbow stuff, whatever it is, because of his delivery. But you're right. When he's on and he's healthy, I've heard guys like it was Justin Morneau, when he was really good with the Minnesota Twins, who said that was the most uncomfortable at bat I've ever had, because the ball comes out of his hand. You know, he's a lefty, so you're Morneau hitting as a lefty, and you see that ball coming from behind you. It's like, how do I? And then it sweeps across the plate. You have no chance whatsoever. So for a while, just an absolutely dominant pitcher, and arguably the most fun pitcher to watch in baseball, just because of the delivery, the kind of stuff you were getting out of him. I wish he could stay healthy. As much as I don't want anything good for you, Tommy, I wish he could stay healthy and help your team win. But I did kind of feel like this was coming at some point. But for a while, that dude was awesome.
He was.
So we're 40 minutes away, Chris, from the opener between the Red Sox and the Yankees. We have to talk about it. We're contractually obligated to talk about Red Sox-Yankees anytime they're playing.
Greatest rivalry in sports, Kevin.
And you know what's funny? They don't normally play in the opener because the season got all screwed up that they would be playing in the opener. But now they're playing, so we have to talk about them. Past Garrett Cole, there's not a lot I feel like you can trust in this rotation. Do you have faith in the Yankees to win this division potentially, or it's just going to be another flame out for them? Well, I mean, let me rephrase that, because they were in the playoffs last year. I mean, wild card. But as far as them not winning the division.
Well, I still like Severino. I still like Tyone. I don't think they win the division, though. I mean, we talked about Toronto earlier. It's probably going to be them. I think that despite the losses they've had, and as far as the roster goes, and we talked about those already, I just still think they're the class of that division. The Yankees they're the Yankees, so they're always going to be around. They're always going to hit a little bit, and not a little bit, but they're going to hit a lot, and they'll be dangerous, but they're just not going to win that division. And I'm sorry to anybody in New York listening. I know Freeze Pops loves hearing that, but
yes,
give
me that, please.
Give
me all of that.
Yeah, I mean, neither are your Red Sox, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, if Chris Sale's going to miss, 2 months and he's going to come back and get injured in, 5 starts, then yeah. I mean, I love our offense. We can hit, right? I mean, when Mookie got traded, everyone was sort of down on the organization. But then when you took a step back, you're like, wait a second, we're still really good. And they've continued to produce. Bullpen's going to be a problem. It's just going to be an issue all season long. It feels like it's the Red Sox issue every year. They've never really been able to solve that bullpen issue.
I'm so sorry, man.
Thanks, man.
What's it only been, like 5 years since you won a World Series? Hey, Kevin, will you tell Freeze Pops that he can never, ever in his life again bitch about any of his teams?
No.
Wait. Chris, hold on a second. Hold on.
Yeah.
So this guy over here with the Expos hat is still celebrating Tom Brady's Super Bowls, who doesn't
God,
play
he's
for the Patriots anymore. Still my guy. It's like, you can't do that.
My guy.
It doesn't count.
God, he's the worst, man. Not Tom Brady.
Tom Brady in an Expos uniform.
Look at this guy. Look at him. It's
my guy, man.
Have you ever seen a fan base love a player more than they love the team he was on in their own city?
Well,
have you ever seen that?
Before you answer that, Kevin, has any other player been as incredibly good and godlike as
Michael
Tom
Jordan?
Brady?
Michael Jordan and Bulls fans didn't like him with the Wizards.
Okay.
They didn't
fine.
worship him.
I'll grant you Michael Jordan. But I think even what Tom Brady has done is more impressive than what Jordan did in Chicago.
But Tom, wait a second, though. Hold on. I forgot. Did Tom Brady get traded by the Patriots to the Buccaneers, or he elected to leave to go sign with Tampa Bay?
He gave us 20 amazing years in New England. He decided he wanted to move south like all of our elders do here in New England. They're snowbirds. They don't want to deal with the winter anymore. They want to go down south. Brady's just following that same path. I'm not going to begrudge him for that. In fact, I'm going to root for him no matter what he does because I love him.
It's very clear Tom Brady had enough, y'all. He was done. This is enough.
No, I get it. Look, I understand, man. Belichick does not seem like a fun guy to spend a lot of time with.
No, I don't mean Belichick. I mean you. He was done with you and all of you people.
Oh, boo-hoo. The Celtics haven't won in years. The Red Sox haven't won. The Patriots won. Boo-hoo.
Hey, I think the Bruins and Celtics both have a shot this spring. I really do. Not that I don't want to go down. I don't think the Bruins will go. I don't want to go down a rabbit hole here, but like just keep your antennas up on both of those squads heading into the postseason. But Raj, I wanted to hit you with a question about the Dodgers here. They have the highest win total odds heading into the season. Heading into their first game today, they have the Rockies, I believe. They're in Colorado. 98.5 wins for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Do you think that that's money well spent? What are we looking at in LA this year? Are they just going to continue to be the wagon they are out west?
I would think so. I don't know if maybe this is just totally a gut feeling, but I'm feeling about 95, 96 wins for them. So I'll probably take the under. If I was to bet this, which I'm not going to, I'm not touching their win total. But I don't know. I got a feeling. My feeling is, and it's probably not the best way to go about things, they're not going to quite reach that. They're going to win that division, and they'll go to the playoffs, and they might make it to a World Series. But I don't think I'd touch 98 plus here.
Okay.
Chris, can I circle back to something from earlier? Kind of. What was the feeling with Tony La Russa last year in Chicago, that he was gone for so long in Chicago? He was with the Cardinals, then stepped away, then came back. And what is he, 70? How old is he?
71 years old.
He's 71. Is he pushing them over the top, or is just they have a lot of talent and he's just managing it? I mean, how is that working where they had Renteria in there and it kind of felt like he had them close and they kicked him off the cliff and they brought La Russa in?
Well, first of all, I am of the mindset that people totally dramatically overrate the effect of managers because it's a one-on-one game. You know, there's not much a manager can do when a guy's in the batter's box and, you know, pitchers throw into him. You can't, what are you going to do? Call plays? There's nothing you could do there. So I think what you can do is create a good environment. From what I understand, the environment is pretty good there. There were times, though, last season where he didn't know rules. Like he wasn't aware of the ghost runner rule and the pitcher having to go out and run, and he allowed a pitcher to go run, and people were freaking out on him. Like there were a few things here and there. And then there was the Yermin Mercedes thing where Mercedes had a 3-0 pitch. The Sox were winning, and he jumped on a 3-0 pitch and hit a home run. And we all loved it, thought it was great. He did not. La Russa did not.
Show respect.
Like that,
he ripped him.
Like just that old school baseball police nonsense. So there were moments like that people did not like. They did not like the hiring. I mean, you might have some old school people, like people who are 71 years old.
Everyone in
Tony
St. Louis.
La Russa. That's a great hire. But by and large, Sox fans were not pleased because, like we talked about earlier, really dynamic, good, young team, exciting team with personality, and you bring in this guy, like this dude who is the baseball police. And it's like the last thing it seems like they needed. So people were not excited about that. I think the players are okay with him, and I think they win regardless of him. I don't think he turned them into – they were a playoff team before. They were a playoff team the season before without him, and they did it again, and they'll do it again. If Tommy Freeze Pops is the manager, that team goes to the playoffs again.
I don't know about that. The 71 years old thing just got me thinking because I was putting together something for an episode of Great Dane Nation a couple weeks ago, and I saw Pete Carroll is 71 years old. Think about how different those two 71-year-olds are viewed within their sport. Like Pete Carroll, we look, he's young, spry. He's a young 71. He connects with all of them. He's that energetic guy. And with Tony La Russa, they're like, 71. Like,
it's how
might
he
as well
carries
get that guy to the funeral home.
Yeah.
It's like
it's how he carries himself.
Mm-hmm.
He's very, he doesn't get fired up all that much.
But that's good for baseball, no?
That he's even keel?
Just steady.
Sure. Yeah,
even
I think
keel
in
is
baseball
more like comatose when he's in the dugout.
Yeah. Well, people used to jump on Robin Ventura for that exact same thing, and he's a beloved White Sox player, but they hated him as a manager. They weren't very good, but I kept trying to tell people that's because the team sucks. Yeah, they're not good. It's not
because Nolan Ryan beat you up.
I don't. I would go back and look at that. I don't think he got as many good licks in as people think. That's go watch all the angles. I think Robin. An
old guy that took Advil all the time is just beating you up in a headlock.
Oh, poor Robin. Smart guy though, really smart guy.
Ron, just there. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say we at the show I used to do in St. Louis. I think it was 2020. Before they hired La Russa, we interviewed him. And I just recall being in that interview thinking this guy is, I don't know. It was like we woke him up from a nap or something. And it was 3 p.m. I'm surprised that he wanted to take this on. That's a hard job. Every day, people are on your ass every single day. And it's constant, there's hardly a break once the season starts. So I'm surprised he wanted to do it. I know it wasn't popular with a lot of Sox fans, but they're going to win anyway. He's going to do some things throughout the year, as any manager does, that'll make you mad, but they'll still be good.
Do you have a sneaky MVP play for us in either league that you like?
I haven't even really thought about that yet. I guess I like Marcus Semien still, even though he maybe last year was his best chance to win that award, but there's something about him, and maybe it's that I just root for him a lot because he's a really likable guy, and now he's finally getting his opportunity. Maybe this is Vlad Jr.'s year in the American League. I guess you could make that argument. Shohei Ohtani is still going to be the darling of the league as long as he's remotely good as a pitcher and as long as he continues to hit. I think people are dying to vote for somebody like him, and they'll continue to do it. I don't think there's a Shohei Ohtani fatigue yet.
No.
So
how could there be, to be honest?
No, I think
he's freaking Babe Ruth.
Right. He won't suffer any of those. If he has a season that you can make the argument that he should be the MVP, he probably will be the MVP. Mm-hmm. I think. I don't think he'll be treated as Mike Trout was in the first few seasons, where there were 1 or 2 years in there where he was clearly the best player.
Nah, gotta give it to Cabrera, man.
But they give it to the Triple Crown guy instead. Right. So I don't think he's going to suffer from anything like that. Maybe my dark horse would be Semien, but
you can get Semien at plus 5,000 right now. So throw a couple of Frackle units on.
Don't put your college tuition money on it, but if you want a little bit. But yeah, I do think that as long as Ohtani is good, I don't even know if he has to be the clear best player in the league to win. I just think people are going to want to ride this pitcher-batter combo as long as they can possibly get it.
I'm looking at some of the White Sox here as far as MVP at DraftKings. Luis Robert, right?
Robert. Yeah.
Robert, okay.
No, it's Robert.
I know, but I like to say Robert.
Well, everybody thought it was.
And we got kind of tricked on that one. He's
for multiple years.
He's the fourth choice right now behind Ohtani, Trout, and Vlad. So he's fourth at 15-1. Abreu's at 45-1. Jimenez at 50-1, and Tim Anderson's at 70-1. Would you take a shot at any of those guys to win it from the White Sox?
Maybe Robert. He's the guy who has the. I know Tim Anderson is more of the well-known White Sox player, which I think does matter a little bit when it comes to voters. Because let's be honest, I don't think all writers are paying close attention to every other team in baseball. But everybody knows who Anderson is. Robert has the potential, though, to make you notice him. Like that's a guy that if he stays healthy, doesn't, wreck his shoulder or do something silly, he's going to be really damn good. Like I really like that guy. So
for the purposes of this interview,
yeah.
can we call him Robert, please?
It's not Yeah, you could do whatever you want. I just want you to be happy.
Tim Anderson is a great name, by the way. Can we just recognize the fact that we need more guys with extremely common names?
It's very common.
Yeah, it's John Brown.
Yeah, it's the most like his name is so far from his personality. It's great. Like the guy is like he's exciting and his name is not.
Tim Smith.
Anderson. Yeah, Tim Smith.
Just give me more extremely common name great athletes. I just think it's hilarious.
Great dude. I love Tim Anderson. But for these purposes, if you want to bet a White Sox player for MVP, go with Luis Robert.
Or Robert, yes.
It's not Robert.
Before we let you go, Chris, how much does it annoy you when people say White Sox player as opposed to White Sox player?
It is weird. Yeah. But
I hate having to write it out.
Yeah,
he's a former White Sox. He's not a former White Sox, he's a former White Sox player.
He's a former Sox, because But there was their pitching coach for a long time, Don Cooper, used to call him he's a White Sox. He would say it. I think it's just because he didn't. Never mind. But yeah, a lot of people do that. It does bother me. Do people do that in Boston?
Yeah. It bothers me as well. That anytime I run into a situation where I'm writing it out and I'd have to put Sox player, I try and word it in a way where I don't have to write it out like that because I hate it.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
It's frustrating.
It is. And I may have done that very early on in my career. And I think somebody corrected me. Or maybe I heard somebody else get corrected and I said, oh, okay, I won't do that again. But yes, now it's like nails on a chalkboard 15 years later. Chris
Rongey joining us here on the Daily Insider, live from St. Louis. He covers Major League Baseball for Odyssey, 670 The Score in Chicago, KMOX in St. Louis. Chris, we appreciate the time. Thank you, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Hey, Kevin. Bye, Raj. Hey, next time, Kevin, let's just do this, you and me. We don't need this bum.
No, we could have him here. He just can't talk. We just have to mute him.
Fair.
I don't want to look at him.
Love you, buddy.
See you, boys.
Thank you. Raj. Chris Rongey. A lot of fun there.
That's my guy.
Yeah, he's good. We knew people in the radio business, and when you told me that he was coming on the show, I was like, all right. I knew he was from Chicago. I wasn't sure he worked in St. Louis, but I knew him from Chicago. So no, it's a lot of good insight there. It's just, look, we don't want to make fun of old people. That's not what we're here for. But
we kind of did a little bit.
Have you seen the highlight, though, from last year when Tony La Russa came out to argue a call and he's running out? It's just like,
he's Tony,
don't break that hip while you're running out there.
That'd be a hell of a story.
That are in their 70s, but at the same time, it's different when you're coaching. You're more in the spotlight when you're coaching. Not like in the NBA, if you're just standing there, but you're in baseball, you're about to argue a call, and you're running out there, and it's like, I don't know. I just think that I feel like he's just too old. I mean,
yeah. Well, baseball, I feel like, is the one sport, and again, like Raj mentioned, The manager role is a little overrated, right? So I feel like you can get away with someone who's like, I don't know, 90 in the dugout. Like Jack McKeon was how old when the Marlins won the World Series?
He was like
03?
70 something.
Right.
Are you talking about like Connie Mack wearing a suit in the dugout? Like we need to bring that back.
Yeah.
Now, I'm all for in the NBA, these guys wearing like the warm-up jackets.
The quarter zips, yeah.
Yeah, like that I'm fine with. I don't like this. Pat Riley's the only guy who can wear a suit. Everyone else just looks like they're trying to be at a bar mitzvah or something. But in Major League Baseball, we need to switch it up where if they're not wearing uniforms, we need the John McGraw, Connie Mack thing where you're wearing a suit.
I'm into that. Yeah. I think managers wearing uniforms is one of the dumbest things that we do in sports. I'm totally with you on that. At least give them like those cool like warm-ups that they have that are sort of like the windbreaker type things that you see bullpen pitchers wearing. The whole uniform thing is just stupid.
I think a lot of them, like Terry Francona, I feel like
he rocks started it,
where he wears just like a shirt, like he wears just like an undershirt,
and he gets away with it. Is it technically a rule that the manager has to wear a uniform, or do they just
feel
do
like
it?
They've lifted that, or like it's okay, like you don't have to be in the button down. Like a lot of these guys don't. If you watch them, I guarantee you, there's probably no managers now that wear the uniform or that wear the top. I mean, obviously they're wearing the pants, but that they're wearing like a windbreaker or. Well, look at the NFL. This is the highest paid or the most profitable league in the world. These guys dress like bums in the sideline.
It's so true. Who was the guy within the last decade or so? I think he was one of the Niners when they were running through coaches. He would try and wear a suit.
Mike Nolan.
It's Mike Nolan. Got it. Yeah, I forget.
Wore the suit.
Yeah, Mike Nolan wears a suit, and then
Jack Del Rio wore suits.
He wore a suit, and then a guy on the Miami sideline, on the college side, was
Al Golden.
Al Golden. See, I'm blanking on which coach did, but I know the teams. I remember Al Golden rocking the. No.
Okay, Al Golden went to Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
So he wore the tie for Paterno, but the issue is Joe Paterno, A, was like 1,000,000 years old. B, he was up in Happy Valley where it's not 90 degrees in the sidelines.
Yes.
And C, Golden is sweating.
Right.
It's like a 12:30 game or 3:30 game. He's just sweating. I'm like, dude, wear just like a dry fit on the sidelines.
Right.
You're not showing disrespect by wearing a dry fit as opposed to wearing a tie and just being drenched with sweat.
Yeah. In fact, I think wearing a tie and being drenched in sweat is disrespectful. Like don't make us look at that.
You're already uncomfortable on the sidelines. Now you're just like, at least let me be comfortable if it's 90 degrees.
You're making everyone else feel uncomfortable at that point. Just disgusting. Hey, before we wrap up here, Masters, are we going to be watching Tiger on Sunday, you think? What's your gut feel? Because he looked good yesterday. He had flashes where he looks, like the Tiger of this era,
of 3 years ago on the Masters. Yeah. Like I won the Masters 3 years ago. I mean,
right.
I think he makes it to the weekend because he put himself in a good spot yesterday. The one thing I'm annoyed with is I should have taken Bryson DeChambeau to miss the cut because we had talked about it on our video a few days ago. All right. We talked about it, and we had Jay Delsing on, who was very good, and we had talked about some of these golfers and who would make it, who wouldn't. Bryson DeChambeau has like a labrum injury and a hip injury, and he wanted to play just because it was the Masters. He had been terrible at the Masters his last 5 times, didn't make the cut. For him to miss the cut, I feel like that was the lock of the weekend.
Yeah, and he even said that, right?
First round.
He even said a few days ago something like, if it wasn't the Masters, I wouldn't be golfing in this tournament. So, yeah, that probably should have been the lock of the tournament to take that. But it's Bryson, so you're not going to, put money on him to not make a cut because he's a name guy in the sport, right? So
I think Tiger makes it to the weekend. Now, how far he goes, I don't know. But he's at least in a spot to do it where he's not something like 3-0. He needs to have a great day. He needs to not have a bad day. That's always the way I put it. You need a great day, just don't have a bad day. Right.
Dude, when he's on a Sunday in a major, there's nothing better in that sport, and nothing even close. He's just electric.
It'll be good.
So
It'll really.
I hope it happens. It'd be fun. It would be fun. But Other than that, just going to be hanging out with my puppy up here in Rhode Island, continuing the potty training. So we're busy as always with the pup.
Wait till you have a kid. Wait till you have a
It's training. This is training wheels.
It's to a certain extent. Just you wait, my friend.
Right,
so
well, I'll deal with this for now.
Right. So, all right. We're back Monday, and I'm on Monday and Tuesday, and then Stephanie is on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm out of town next few days, next week. So you'll be in with Stephanie next Friday. Devin's back next Friday, right?
That's right. Devin Walker will be here.
Right.
You headed on vacation? Are you hanging out? Just taking a few days?
I'm actually going on vacation. I'm going to Orlando, or outside of Orlando. My sister, who lives in Chicago, she's coming down because her in-laws live in that Orlando area, and all of our family, my family, and her in-laws all live in Florida. They're the only ones that don't live in Florida. They live in Chicago. So we're going to meet there. Her spring break to teach her. So we're meeting there and for a few days. So that's the reasoning. That's why I'm not just going to the beach and hanging out. So,
well, if you were, that'd be okay too.
Yeah,
we'll have you on Monday to react to the Masters, and we'll have you on Tuesday to have your last day of school vibes, before your vacation.
Well, we have to play a tournament starting Tuesday. So.
You gotta love it. We'll talk some NBA. So then we'll get Stephanie Odie for 3 days here, and Stephanie Odie made her Great Dane Nation debut this week on the audio side. A video of that episode should be ready early next week. We're putting together a new template. I know people don't necessarily care about the behind the scenes stuff, but that thing's going to look money. You're going to see that on Monday or Tuesday, and she'll be with us for the next 2 months or so here on Great Dane Nation as we barrel through the NFL offseason. Fun episode. Go check that out, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Well, we're 3 weeks away from the draft, so kind of the NFL will return after the NFL has been so quiet this offseason. We haven't heard a thing about it, so it'll be good to recap everything. The NFL, man, they do it right.
It doesn't sleep.
Yeah, they do it right. So, all right, great. So we'll talk to you again on Monday. Tommy will be back on Friday. Devin Walker of MTV The Challenge, and Stephanie Odie will be doing the show next Friday. And then I guess, Tom, I will talk to you the following Friday. So That's now we have everything in our planner all set for everyone. They can write it all down. At least we're good to go. So for Chris Rongey, who is great, you can find him on Twitter at Chris Rongey, Rongey. For Tommy Freeze Pops, I am Kevin Rogers. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe to our videos on our YouTube channel at Vegas Insider. And we'll talk to you again on Monday. And as always, best of luck.